Hi, welcome to our first AI Minute. I'm Kate Finley, the founder of Belle Communication, and I'm with Mark Kutowy, our VP of Growth. Hi, Mark.
Hi, Kate.
I'm looking forward to discussing this update with you. So, because this is our inaugural AI Minute, I just want to intro this as it's going to be a little longer than a minute, but the idea is that it is something that gives you a heads up. This is what's happening. This is how it affects you. This is what we know now from the lens of a PR and communication perspective. So this week, we're going to be talking about watermarking. August 11th, Anthropic confirmed that Claude is watermarking its text output. This is going to be an invisible element. It survives copy and paste. It's driven by the EU AI Act, and it's similar to where Google had Synth ID, and which is technical. We're not going to get into all of that, but there are many organizations that are going to be making this change. Anthropic is really just at the forefront of this right now. So, Mark, I want to know, does this mean AI assisted content is going to get flagged or penalized? What is happening?
It's a great question. And, we don't really have a crystal ball as to exactly how this is going to play out yet, Kate. What we are going to know is that Anthropic is going to make public an API key that will let people check to see if their tools have touched the content. That is indistinguishable whether it wrote the entire content or whether it was just involved in the actual editing process. So, I think everybody is at a point right now where most professional writing is going through a model at some point, whether it's concept iteration or whether it's actually just an editing and grammar check with a tool like Grammarly. And each one of these tools is going to be adding a little watermark or evidence that they were involved in the process. I think at the end of the day, we know that almost nothing will be completely human written. And so it's the new norm of what we're seeing.
Mark, can you tell me a bit more on the detection tools?
These new detection tools are more trying to predict whether or not an AI tool has actually touched it. We're very early on in this news. This news has dropped, less than 10 days ago, and you can't detect something yet. And the tools that are out there cannot be based on an actual API that is made available. We know that those tools are coming. So I would say
Mhm.
there's no official tool out there right now. Buyer beware. Use caution or discretion when you're trying to subscribe to
Exactly.
a tool because we
Mhm.
don't necessarily have one that we trust yet, and we'll recommend it when we do.
Another question that we're seeing is, what's really involved in this watermark? Can you help us understand a little more about what it is? How does it affect visuals and audio and things like that?
Yeah. So what we've seen is that images, audio, video, they've already been carrying a version of a watermark. A little bit more of
Mm,
what you might typically think of because this is detectable, right? This is something that's been required by CP2A. We've had the requirement that they actually have metadata that tells me that this was AI generated. You might have actually seen it on videos or imagery that where you get a little AI in addition to it being in the meta information. That typically tends to be pretty easy to strip out. This is something, like we said, what's going to be hidden within the text. The text itself is the actual watermark. And so we're going to see that this is quite different from what we see in the image, audio, and video space. Compared to how content has been put out on the internet through PR historically, how do you see that this is going to impact what we're looking at in terms of targeting new news?
I think it's going to help. It seems scary right now, but if we can get to the point, and I don't think it's there yet, if we can get to the point where we create a filter around quality content and sourcing, that is something we will desperately need as we continue to have so much AI slop out there. And so this is where you really lean in and PR historically, right? We're at the forefront of what's happening within communication, what's happening within media, breaking news, journalists, all of that. And so we need to really be gatekeepers, and you need to rely on your agency to be the expert in the room to make sure that you and your company are protected from getting unintentionally and unnecessarily flagged. I would say, hopefully, this is going to create, I think that's the intention, more quality over quantity. And so those who are producing really stellar content with the use of AI, not just organic. At this point, if you're just producing organic content, it's too slow. Someone is going to beat you to the finish line every time. So you need to use AI to create those outlines to help you research what is actually happening right now. So that's what I would say. I think ultimately it's going to be a good thing. Are they there now? Will they be there soon? Probably not.
There's a comparison also. Journalists, authors, usually there's other people involved in the process. There's an editorial staff at publishers. You can look in the front of a book. You can look at, a website. What's that comparison like? Do you see that AI is now kind of the virtual editor or the virtual publisher? Do you see their involvement as being similar to what was done historically?
Think there's an element of that, but I think there could be a tendency to lean too far in that direction. And we need to really be careful to keep the humans as the ultimate editors and gatekeepers. So, yeah, I think we're experiencing an over reliance, and that will continue to be a challenge to not overly rely on one LLM or even an LLM altogether. But yes, we need the humans to be editors. And I think that that editorial piece is really essential to journalism, and I'm hopeful that they protect those roles. I would say that really brings us to what should we do about this right now with the information that we have? And so the answer to that is that, we need to watch and see what's happening. But right now, you need to make sure that you have an answer to what your stance is on AI use. So for us, ours is that we collaborate with AI across our workflows, and senior people own the judgment, the sourcing, and the accountability. And that's our position. So that way you're not coming from a defensive position. Expect, this is going to have many iterations as we go. It's not something where you need to throw out your entire content strategy, but you do need to be aware, especially if you're sharing anything that is public facing or it's with the media. You need to and should already be having a very strategic lens on that, and not just be churning out AI content that has not been supervised by an expert and had that judgment and input. So that is our AI minute. We hope you enjoyed it, and we look forward to sharing the next one with you.